For 32 years, Jon Snow was the face of the UK's Channel 4 News. As the programme's longest-running anchor, he reported on the release of Nelson Mandela and the fall of the Berlin Wall, before finally stepping away from the news desk in 2021. But retirement brought a sudden loss of professional agency, triggering a period of severe clinical depression. By 2023, his episodic memory loss and social withdrawal were formally diagnosed as Alzheimer's disease. Clinicians often warn of social death in dementia patients, a state where cognitive and physical isolation removes the necessary stimuli for brain health. Without active engagement, the neurological decline moves with devastating speed. His wife, Dr. Precious Lunga, approached the diagnosis through the lens of her background in neuroscience and epidemiology. She believed that isolation was the enemy. Her hypothesis was that Snow needed to return to high-agency professional work to stabilize his condition. Snow's journey became a direct struggle to maintain his identity and agency before the disease could passively erase his professional self. While Snow faced a biological threat in London, a corporate one was unfolding 5,000 miles away. In February 2025, multiple tailings dams at the Sino Metals mine in Chambishi, Zambia, collapsed. The failure released 1.5 million tons of highly toxic mining waste into the regional water system. In the aftermath, the company utilized corporate agnotology, the systematic and deliberate manufacturing of public ignorance, to manage the fallout of the disaster. The first phase of the cover-up involved the Drizzt report. This independent assessment found that 900,000 tons of heavy metals were leaching into the groundwater, yet Sino Metals suppressed the findings to keep the true scale hidden from the public. The second phase utilized police-enforced non-disclosure agreements. Officials presented vulnerable villagers with contracts that offered $100 in exchange for a permanent gag order and the forfeiture of their right to launch legal action. Through these tactics, the corporate machine was effectively deleting the lived experience and legal standing of an entire Zambian community. Snow and Lunga decided to confront these parallel erasures by traveling to the Copperbelt province to investigate the disaster personally. This map of the Kafu River Basin shows the path of a chemical chain reaction, known as acid mine drainage. When mining waste is exposed to oxygen and water, it produces highly concentrated sulfuric acid that can devastate an entire ecosystem. This acidic environment accelerates the weathering of mining slag, mobilizing lethal heavy metals like arsenic, uranium, and lead into the water supply. The contamination eventually reached the downstream city of Kitwe, impacting 700,000 residents. The threat was so severe that municipal water was shut off, and the U.S. Embassy ordered the immediate evacuation of its personnel from the area. This wasn't a static accident. It was an active chemical threat that required immediate international exposure to protect the lives of those in its path. Human rights lawyer Brigadier Siachitema worked to bypass the company's NDAs by filing a constitutional petition alleging that the spill and the state's failure to intervene violated the fundamental right to a healthy environment. Jon Snow embedded himself deeply into the ongoing investigation, navigating strict police blockades, interviewing previously silenced villagers, and analyzing complex environmental data. While conducting this work, his crew noticed a significant shift. Returning to the field of investigative journalism seemed to act as a stimulant, restoring Snow's focus and communication skills, even as his short-term memory continued to fade. Neuroscience suggests that the familiar, high-stakes demands of reporting acted as a cognitive stabilizer. The familiar routines of a 30-year career provided a mental framework that sharpened his analytical capabilities. The act of remembering how to be a journalist, to expose a corporate lie, became the specific mechanism Snow used to fight his own cognitive decline. When the documentary Jon Snow, A Last Big Story aired, it triggered a surge in public support and brought the reality of both the Zambian disaster and Alzheimer's disease into the global spotlight. The legal battle saw a major breakthrough in June 2026. The Zambian Supreme Court pushed back against Sino Metals, formally recognizing the decadal latency of environmental harm, the fact that toxic impacts may not manifest for 10 years or more. This ruling set a global precedent. Because environmental damage is long-term, settlement agreements signed in the immediate wake of a disaster are legally oppressive and can be voided by the courts. Back in the UK, Snow has used his lucid moments to partner with the Alzheimer's Society, backing an open letter to the government calling for a total reform of dementia care. He is championing a new model of care that prioritizes professional engagement over isolation. He argues that dementia patients shouldn't be locked away, but encouraged to maintain high-agency activities as a vital form of life support. In the end, the work Snow did to protect the legacy of the Zambian copper belt became the very framework that allowed him to keep his own.